Israel, y'all about to be outside, but come to the brothers, y'all small out there about to be outside to the sisters. We are the ISUPK, the Israelite School University Practical Knowledge, established in 1969, one west on the 25th Street, all in New York. We are led by Commander Jimmy Yohana. We are not affiliated with any other organization. Israel pay your tithes and get ready for the Lord's 56th annual Passover, April 12th in Atlanta, Georgia. Get your hotels ready, get your travel arrangements ready, save up a couple extra dollars for the nightlife, for the vendors that are going to be at the Passover. And just for any incidentals, you will make sure that y'all are prepared when you're going on a trip over the road like this. Bring your first aid kits with you. Make sure everybody's accounted for. Shout out to wasn't sure what side that was on. Shout out to Yard Down, man, for making these fly hoodies. I can't remember the brand he's got, but ISUPK Defenders of the Res, we got these during the December 14th Operation Reservation with Division giveaway mission on the Menominee Reservation in Keshena, Wisconsin. It was a successful event, but I don't want y'all down that made some fly hoodies, some fly t-shirts, and definitely check them out. It's great already. Real nigga university shit. And look for that remix that him and Yapazar teamed up for the Letterman jackets. The Letterman jackets. Those are crazy. Definitely worth the investment. You know, all embroidered, real leather, like it's crazy. So we are back after a little hiatus with some of the other events, things going on. 12:27. This is I'm gonna skip that title for right now just for time's sake. But this is part 4 of Psalms 83. We had left off on verse 7, so I believe we are on verse 8. We are in Psalms 83. Part 4. We are going to be in verse 8. Prior to, we were reading about how these other nations are confederate against thee, and they listed off a bunch of the different families and tribes. So you had Edom, the Ishmaelites, Moab, the Hagarenes, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. So that was kind of like a confederacy, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. So we're just talking about like the citizens, the military men of Tyre. So now in verse 8, it says the sewer also is joined with them. Gam Ashawar. War. War. Wow. Mum. Yo. Mum. What's that? It's like Aiwa. Set you kind of straight. All right, we'll live with that. So we got Gam Ashawar, Nalawa, Imam, Haywa. In the Paleo, write this out in the Assyrian, and we'll run through it real quick. Wow. Mum. Haywa. And that is going to translate into get that open. All right. So Gam is going to be also. So this is a sewer. Sewer also is joined with them. With them, and they have so phonetically how that's going to look. So Gam Ashawar Gam Ashawar Nalawa Nalawa Imam Aiwa. Everything looks more or less legible on here. Gam Ashawar Nalawa Imam Haiwa. Now, tour. I was just looking this up. Grab the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. If you don't have one, it's a good resource to have. This is the compact. You see that clearly? This is the compact Zondervan Bible Dictionary. They do have a larger version, but if you were to just look them up real quick, Asur. So in the Hebrew, not to be confused with Ashar, the Asherites, which is one of the 12 tribes of Israel. In English, it's just pronounced Asur, Ashawar in Hebrew. If we just do it up real quick. Give me 1 second. All right, so in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, in the compact Zondervan Bible Dictionary, on page 60, it has Asur, the god of the Assyrians, their reputed human founder, the ancient capital of the country, often the nation of Assyria. Asur is the builder of Nineveh and nearby cities. He comes from the kingdom of Nimrod, a descendant of Ham, but may not be of his race. For most occurrences of the Hebrew word, it has it. The King James has it as Assyria, which is the probable meaning in every instance. So they're ascribing the Assyrian, the root of Assyria, they're ascribing to Asur, being a deity of the Assyrians, their reputed human founder of the Assyrians. Now they're calling him here a Hamite. Comes from the kingdom of Nimrod, a descendant. Yeah, so if he's a descendant of Ham, then he is Hamitic. Nimrod was Hamitic. Might not be from the same family. Might not be like direct descendants or relatives, so to speak. So we got the Edomites, the Ishmaelites, the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Amalekites. We got Philistines. You got the city of Tyre or Tyre, a couple different pronunciations for it, however you want to go. At this point, it's got a Coke to Pepsi. But all these different nations being confederate against the children of Israel. So now we're going to read a little bit more, give you a couple seconds to finish looking at this. We're going to read, and this is actually going to be bringing up some interesting history points in this next little bit in verses 9, 10, and 11. Some nice little history bits in here that after you check them out and read into it, some of the different wars that happened early on after the Exodus, after Joshua, where we had, coming to the kingdom. But again, it's going to talk about how we had done evil in the sight of the Most High, and got thrust back into captivity. It's like the shadow. All right, we'll reset this. So Assur is just noting the Assyrian. Not to be confused with Asher, one of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so we had Gam Ashawar Nalawa and Mum Haywa Zarwai. Zarwai. Labanya Lawat. Banya Lawat. Banya Lawat Salah. Salah. Zarwai. Banya Lawat Salah. What? Salah. So that's crisping up a little hidden behind that glare on the TV. All right, so now this is going to translate into. So when we left off with Haywa, they have Zarwa is hoping. Labanya, the children of. Lawat is Lot. Let's put this over here. Lot, which again was the nephew of Abraham. So he was not an Israelite. He's not part of that family tree. Then Selah. So Selah, and then really that just means explain this. It's kind of like the moment of silence, kind of. It's the way that they have it expressed here: suspension of music, a pause in music, comes from a certain word. It doesn't offer too much here either. So that just, in this case, the way that it's getting used, because in Psalms, this is all being kind of a musical, I won't say musical narration, but he's it's Psalms are songs. So this is just kind of a musical feature. So not pause as in you as gay, but pause as in it's kind of, I don't know, taking uh go kind of like well, because again, moment of silence is kind of taking like a death or something, like we're not at a funeral here. But you'll see how they have it used. It's got quite the explanation to it. So it does seem to be more expressed in Psalms. Yeah, so it seems to have been used as to mark a short pause. So Salah doesn't really, I don't want to say it doesn't really have a meaning, because like the definition of it is to lift up, exalt, but then a technical musical term probably showing accentuation, pause, or interruption. So kind of maybe adding weight to this portion here, hoping the children of Lot. After all these different nations have enlisted in confederacy against us, pause. Kind of taking a moment to add to the gravity of the situation. So why? So ban, um la is normally always going to be the. It comes in as uh it comes in prior to, and it leads in. Ban is son, child, the children, or banya going to be the children. Kind of making that plural, but talk about the children of Lot. Banya, Lawat, and then Selah. Selah. That sharpens up. So Zarawai, Labanya Lawat, Selah. Now that word hoping too. I used to get tripped up on that word hoping. I used to think it meant something of um I knew it had something to do with Lot. Let's just take a look at that word hoping real quick. So it's saying arm, forearm, shoulder strength. Arms a symbol of strength, force political army, shoulder, like an animal sacrifice. The way that it was used, but the application here, the context of this one I'm trying to drive home. So the tabernacle of Edom with the Israelites, the Moab, the Agarenes, the Baal, Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines, the QADASH, Tyre, Assur also was joined with them. They had hope in the children of Lot. So the children of Lot, being Moab and Ammon. So now it was mentioning it was more strictly talking about Assur. So Ashur, or Assyrians, essentially, is also joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. So now again, you look at that word definitionally. Armed, forearm, soldier, strength, symbol of strength, political, military. So coming to their aid, coming to the defense of the children of Lot. So Assur coming to the aid, coming to defend, coming to protect, coming to go to war with and with the children of Lot. That's again Ammon and Moab. Again, just further drive home the point of the Confederacy. And just illustrating all these different nations that come up against Israel in this, in one of these many instances. But what follows is kind of where it gets good. And so that actually doesn't come in too bad. Once I get the hell out of the frame and it kind of smooths itself out. All right, that's what's up. Got another couple seconds. All right, now we're going to go to verse 9. This is where it started getting good. Now remember, this is a prayer. This psalm, this is a prayer that David is throwing up to the Most High. Knowing all this history, and given his situation, he is praying for destruction. He's not praying to save their souls. He's not praying that they might come to church with him. He's not praying for them to pay tithes. He's about to pray for utter destruction on these people, man. And there's nothing wrong with justice and wanting to defend your people. Everybody's entitled to that. You are, as a father, as a brother, you are perfectly within your rational means to want to protect your family and not worry about the next man, the next nations. They've got their own military set up for that. We've been the one lacking. So again, I just want to kind of quickly recap before going into this, because again, I want everybody to feel what's happening here. This is Psalms 83. Keep not thou silence, O God, or not that peace, and be not still, O God. Why is he saying he doesn't want God to be at peace, to be at rest, to be still? For lo, thine enemies, not his buddies, not his lost children who have forgotten their ways. Thine enemies make a tumult. The enemies are starting shit. They're kicking up dust. They're causing problems, making a tumult. And they that hate thee, not they that love thee, not they that have just forgotten how to pronounce your name, not they that have been whitewashed, they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So these people that are kicking up dust, that are causing problems, that are bringing smoke to Israel, that now that they're popping up, now they're popping up, now they're showing their head. Because now again, they have, verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Verse 4, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. They weren't just, they weren't trying to convert you to Catholicism, just so that y'all are reading the same Bible and saying the same prayers. They wanted to cut us off from being a nation. Very similar to how they're trying to do that in the Western culture, with the invention of the Israelis in 1948. Having these so-called Jews placed in the power, they were actively assimilating our identity, covering it up with theirs. So sweeping our whole history under the rug and whitewashing theirs and superimposing theirs into it. Which is where you get white Jesus, white Paul, white Peter, white Joshua, white Moses, white Abraham. They consulted together. They took time out of their day to sit down and talk about how we can do this. They took crafty counsel. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. What's like? Let me just finish verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted, verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Verse 6, the tabernacles of Edom, the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes. Verse 7, the Baal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Verse 8, Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. Salah. So that's just take a quick pause right there. Let it all marinate. Let it all sink in. Now, this is what David is praying for. Aisha Laham. Shalom Kamarian. Kamarian. Asaya Sarah. Ran out of room there, but all right, we still got it all in. All right. Aisha Laham, Kamarian, Kasaya Sarah. Aisha Laham, Kamarian. It's like everything, all those are going to be separate. Kamarian, Kasaya Sarah. So all of these are pronounced, all these are pronounced separate. So this is why that stench of Christianity needs to die. It's why that slave Bible was so impactful, because it took away this kind of sentiment. This is rebellious. This ain't peacetime talk. This is talking about war. And they didn't give us verses like this. They didn't give us these songs. Shah. Shalom. Commodity. Yeah. Is that using? Oh, I'm sorry. So like I may have been using the wrong form of the mod at the end there. My fault. So yeah. Sarah. Yeah, this is talking about war. See what David was saying in English. And then we got what he was saying in Hebrew. I Shalom, Kamadi, and Kasiyah, Sarah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites. This is this whole, you see right here, I Shalom. Do unto them. Kamadian. So Madian is the Midian. So the Midianites. So this is gonna be a kind of a whole phrase that they're given. Do unto them as unto Midianites. As to Sisera. So now this is where it starts getting good because of the history behind what happened with the Midianites and what happened with Sisera. This is David, King David, praying that the Lord meets the Edomites, the Amalekites, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, the Assyrians, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Ishmaelites. He's praying to the Most High that he meets, he does unto the Midianites as to Sisera. He does unto them as unto the Midianites as to Sisera. Where do everyone go? Slovakia. And there it is. My fault. He ain't praying for peace. He is not praying for peace even a little bit. Aisha, Laham, Kamadian, Kasiyah Sarah. Yeah, Sarah. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. Salaki. Yeah, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah. So now the history behind this. I'm going to switch over to the computer for a little bit. Share the screen. I think I'm starting with Judges. Let's start right here. All right, so Judges chapter 4. Verse 2. Well, let's open this up. So now, oh damn, that's one I forgot to grab. The Midianites. Well, it should all kind of be in here. Between the books of Joshua, Judges, and First Kings, you're going to see about these wars that took place. How Joshua or in English Joshua, in the Hebrew Yahushua, how him and on a couple of these separate occasions, in their steadfast defense of Israel, their people, the nation that they love, the one that nation that's not desired, that needs to gather together, that nation that everybody is confederate against, dealing very not just deceitfully with, but taking crafty counsel against. Some of the wars that we have fought. A brother by the name of Gideon, a hardcore Manassite, a hardcore Cuban brother, kicking much ass. But just to start here. So in the book of Judges chapter 4, you can just, I guess start at 1. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead. So this is, you could say, you can compare it to when a dog returns to his vomit. That scripture. How we had, again fell from, I hate them Christian terms like, fell from grace, or, we fell into the darkness from the light, which is all technically true. But where we fell back into some bullshit, doing evil in the sight of the Lord. In verse 2, and the Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned at Hazor, the captain whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Hazareth, or Harseth of the Gentiles. So the king of Jabin is the king of Canaan. And the commander of his host, of his army, was Sisera. So now we have this character, Sisera. I can't remember. It doesn't mention the Midianites here. But I know it does in some of these other verses. All right, so you can see here the war with I'm almost skipping ahead a little bit, but you're going to see some of these other names, Oreb and Zeb, or Zab, however you want to pronounce that, who are two princes of the Midianites. So again, these are going to be. This is we're about to kind of in this prayer we're not going over the history of what happened to the Midianites, what happened to Sisera, but they're using that as talking points because of these great battles that were fought. So to get into the history of it, to understand who these people were and what happened to them. You can read in Judges. Judges is a great historical book with the wars that we had fought, national heroes that were worthy of mention. So Gideon being one of them. So you can see how they had, like this mouse. In verse 24, and Gideon sent messengers throughout all Mount Ephraim, saying, "Come down against the Midianites and take before them the waters to Beth Barah and Jordan." And all the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together and took the waters unto Beth Barah and Jordan. Verse 25, and they took two princes of the Midianites, Oreb and Zeb, and slew Oreb upon the rock, Oreb, and Zeb they slew at the winepress of Zeb, whatever, and pursued Midian, and brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon on the other side of Jordan. So here it's detailing, it's talking about our victories over this tribe, this group, the Midianites, and some of their princes. There we go. And it's going to get into more, well, again, Judges, not the prayer, but the Judges. But the prayer is going to mention some of these other characters, but in Judges, where you're going to see a lot of this starting to get mapped out. Judges and Kings, First Kings. But if anybody knows or is familiar with the story of Deborah and Barak, so Deborah was a sister that a lot of book clubs will try to model their sisters after, or I should say, a lot of sisters' egos will try to conflate them in the spirit of Deborah, and they are no Deborah. They are no Judith. There are no Ruth. There are no Susan or Susanna. They are no Diana. You know what I'm saying? They do not meet the standards of these women. But this sister, who had reinvigorated the spirit of these men, so she didn't try to lead the army herself, but because the Most High was with her, was in her ear, and she was a beckoning call to these brothers to reignite that fire in these soldiers in Barak and all the other brothers here, to stand up and to go to war against Jabin, the king of Hazor, and against Sisera. You can see in verse 22, and behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, you know what I'm saying, like chasing them down. So God subdued on that day Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the children of Israel. And the hand of the children of Israel prospered and prevailed against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until they had destroyed Jabin, the king of Canaan. You know what I'm saying? So David is praying for a war. He's praying for victory in war against these nations that have taken crafty counsel against them, that want to see us discontinued as a people. He's praying to the Most High for judgment and justice against these people. So we're going to remove this. Back to the board. So I shot Laham, Kamadi, and Kasiyat Sarah. This ain't a call for peace. Continue with verse 9. He's calling the battle. David's in the middle of it right now while he's saying all this. You know, if you ever had like for anybody that plays sports, if you was a fighter or something, like your walkout music. If you was a football player, basketball, whatever, some of those more kind of, even though they're not really meant to be, but very physical sports. I mean, football, of course, but you're not supposed to be clashing like they allow in hockey. They just be letting niggas fight in hockey. So that one thing that the pattern that I'm seeing here is ka. So Kamadian, ka saya sara. And this is gonna start out with Kayabian. Kayabian. Barakal. Well, that was ugly. That was ugly. Sometimes an ugly one pops out. On a call. Oh, it's one mark there. Yeah, give or take. On a call, Kwayashwan. Yashwan. A little exaggerated on those knives, but you know. Penmanship aside, everybody's more or less in the same wheelhouse here. Yeah, young on the call. Yashwan. They even call for war here, man. They didn't call for peace. Goddamn Christianity. Goddamn Christmas, goddamn New Year's. Everybody's so focused on pagan customs that they're forgetting there's still bombs being flown back and forth in some of these countries overseas. They're not celebrating Christmas over there. You know, they're not taking a respite to observe the winter solstice. They still fighting to the death. World War III is happening, and everybody wants to uh, promise themselves that they're gonna quit smoking weed. They're going to be faithful to their wives and to their husbands. You know, they're going to get that. They're going to get that promotion this year. They're going to get straight A's in school. People focus on some unpractical shit right now. But we do have an outlet for that. We do got a recourse, the Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge, where you can actually tap in and learn what's actually appropriate, what you should be focusing on, how we should be rebuilding the nation. This ain't no book club. We do not color coordinate. We do not wear tassels on our t-shirts. That's not the culture of Israel. That sure is something what David was talking about. Yabian. Yabian. Banakal. Banakal. Yashwan. Yashwan. Now again, you know, I haven't really been pointing it out this time. I'm hoping everybody's kind of, or at least anybody who's been tuning in, some of the some of the notes on identifying characters and some of the elements to look for when you're trying to separate them while you're trying to read, so that they don't get confused. You can see here the ba and the na. So that really should be the ba and the na kind of take on a similar kind of forms. The ya and the na are next to each other. Again, this version of na at the end of the word, it takes on this form. In the middle or in the beginning, it takes on this form. You can see here the wa and the na, very similar in profile. The na is taller, well, I should say it's longer. It drops down below your normal kind of marked lines, sentence structure lines. And realistically, too, the quash, the qua, that would fall down below also. This main part here would stay within those brackets. Then this arm or that leg, whatever, that extension, that would drop below just slightly. I'm exaggerating a little bit with this. You know, if you were to see in the actual text, it's probably going to be, you know, a little bit closer to that. But just so that you can kind of see that difference a little bit clearer. Add an extra little bit. So, kasiyah sara'ah, that ka is as, or kind of as to, just to indicate. But so, as to Sisera, kasiyah sara'ah, ka sayah sara'ah, as to Sisera, Yabyan, as to Jabin. So Yabyan is Jabin. I'm just going to read. It's to Jabin, which is a Canaanite king. Banakal, at the brook. At the brook, Kisan. So QADASH is Kisan. You might see it with a SH. So normally we're going to see it like this, but you could see it like in maybe different historical books. You might say Kishan instead of Kisan. You know, it sounds like somebody named their kid after that. Kishan, but damn sure. Kishan. Yavian. It's starting to die. See that welling up though. On a call. Nope. Let's take that out of commission. On a call. We are Swan. So, what happened to Jabin at the Brook of Kisan? That's what they're praying for. Whatever happened to this nigga at the Brook of Kisan, however that went down, David is praying for the same thing. For these Edomites, for these Ishmaelites, for the Moabites, for the Ammonites, for those that hoping that came to the aid and helped defend and strengthen up the children of Lot. He's praying that they make the same fate as to Jabin that happened at the brook of Kishon. They're praying for that same fate. I'm praying for that too. I want all of the Lord's enemies to make the same fate as to Jabin. Whatever happened to that nigga at the brook of Kishon. So now again, we can go into Judges and we can read the stories about what happened to Jabin, what happened to his family, what happened to his nation, and where it took place at the brook of Kishon. You might see it. It might say river also, brook, river. It might be, it kind of interchangeable like that. See if I can't pull that same back up. I'll let those go. And actually, all right, yeah, let me share this one too. Another instance of Kishon being mentioned. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 40. So go. And Elijah, that's going to be Elijah, said unto them, take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And they took them, and Elijah brought them down to the brook of Kishon and slew them there. Like it looks like it goes down at the brook of Kishon. Looks like that's the spot. Looks like the brook of Kishon got some bodies on it. Like like the vacants in the wire. They just stashing bodies in the vacants at the wire. And in that movie that show the wire. They just stack some bodies up there, huh? I just need to make one correction here. We are still in Hanukkah. Closing of Hanukkah comes up in a couple days. Is everybody getting ready for that? If you're not able to gather together on a regular basis, it's like, if you're not able to gather together, for the 8 days, at the very least, on the last day coming up, I believe it's going to be on the 2nd. Check with the school. Check with your school for sure. Might be on the 2nd here. Where we will close out the Feast of Dedication of Hanukkah. So in the meantime, light the menorahs, man. Light your menorahs. Might not have somebody, who can stay at the school 24/7 to keep an eye on and make sure that the candles are always burning, the oil lamps are always full. To the best of your abilities, keep this culture alive. Some little things like that. Well, this is going to add a takeaway from bear with me 1 second. Yeah, but I wonder how this can have an effect on the whiteboard. Pretty sure you'll be able to see this reflection as well. Lock in. Give me a minute here. Read up on that for a second while I get this straightened out. So, Locky, bear with me. Go. Best that you are able to for these 8 days. Gather together with your brothers and sisters, man. See what's happening at the school. You need a ride, let them know. There we go. Let's see how that looks. Slack it to the men above me. All right, yeah, you can see it a little bit right there. Looks good. Like that. All right. So we praying for war, man. We praying to match that same energy. Yeah, Confederate against thee, taking crafty counsel. Trying to cut us off from being a nation. They're trying to wipe our whole identity out. Up there for 1 second. So all these nations, white people, Arabs, Asians, Hamites, hoping they all get met the same fate for what they're trying to do. It's not because they're Edomites. It's not because they're Elamites. They're so-called East Indians today. They're just annoying as hell with the telemarketing and scams. That's all, one of their issues. That's besides the point. It's not because they're Ishmaelites or Arabs. This was way before the Quran. This is way before Islam and all that garbage. It's because of what they had done. They were Confederate against Israel. They were teaming up against the Israelites. We just came out of captivity, man. 40 years we spent wandering in the wilderness, trying to find home, trying to reestablish ourselves, trying to rebuild the infrastructure of of what it would take to govern a body. We come back into our own, and we kind of have a relapse, and we get thrust back into captivity under these devils again, under Jabin, in the way that they had treated us so tyrannically for a couple of decades. Him and his kids. We're about to read about again the historical references to battles that were won against our oppressors. So now we're going to be going into verse 10. So Assur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. So do unto them is unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, who was the leader of the host of the army of Jabin, the king of Canaan. Do unto them is unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin at the brook of Kison. So whatever the hell happened at Kison, I want that same fate that happened to Jabin over in these neck of the woods. I want that same fate for these other nations that were confederate against thee, that took crafty counsel against us, so that we would not be a nation anymore. That's what they were plotting against us. That we would be destroyed as a nation. They weren't trying to convert you to Buddhism, trying to get you to meditate and become vegans. They were trying to destroy us as a people. That the nation of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So that we wouldn't even know what an Israelite was. We wouldn't know about our covenant with the Most High. We wouldn't know how we got into these problems, how we came under the boot of everybody, or how to get up out of it, how to serve the Most High, so that we can find favor in His sight again. Because again, here, as we were reading in Judges, and it illustrated how we had done evil again in the sight of the Most High. So this book contains the reason why we are on the bottom as a people, and how we regain our reputation and our name. And it's not going to be holding hand in hand with everybody. That's not going to be the remedy. That's not going to be the remedy for crack cocaine and fentanyl. That's not going to be the remedy for human trafficking and homicide. Hey, Christmas ain't going to do it either. You're not going to get enough gifts. There ain't enough gifts in the world to fix Milwaukee hey, Slacky, shout out to Priest and Officer 5000, Madabar, his amazing family, his sister Nazam, Anam, Shalom sis. There ain't enough gifts in the world. Ain't enough Santa, ain't enough ex-felon Santa Claus laps that you can sit on to wish for a white Christmas and a holy night to rid Milwaukee of the poverty, of the homelessness, of the violence. Ain't enough shooting stars. There's not enough sage that you can burn. It's that dumb shit that we're focused on, that we think is gonna make us better as a people, stronger as a people. We gotta love everybody. We gotta let the hate go, which in part is true, but let the hate for who go. We haven't even really been allowed to breathe as a people, to even know who the hell our enemies are. We automatically think it's just each other. We're always at competition with each other because we're crammed in amongst each other. So there's going to be some of that friction there when you're under oppression and you don't have any outlets. And it's so easy to cause harm to one another because our oppressors don't care about black on black violence. They're not really going to try to seek justice for that. That's why in cities like Chicago, not so much Oakland, I guess, but Baltimore, there's so many unsolved murders because it's so easy to attack one another because we don't have protection. We don't have a police force, a military force, a disciplinary course of action. We don't have an authority that we can appeal to amongst each other that would actually solve the problem in a righteous manner. That wouldn't be for personal gain, or wouldn't be a biased review or a biased judgment on the matter. We always have to appeal to our oppressor's judicial system and justice system for some kind of retaliation. You know, if you don't, if you're not maybe one of those connected families who can go blow for blow with you know, the Kia boys, or you know, all these other, you know, street gangs and families that are clicked up. If you're like just a blue collar, what's the word? A blue collar middle class working man, you know, you're not normally walking around with, well, you might be licensed or something like that, but you're not normally walking around with a gun looking for problems, like a lot of these other people that are quick to get into, you know, heated road rage incidences, where it's so quick, man. You catch each other at a stoplight, you know, somebody look over maybe just to check out the next car or something. You get into a staring match. Can't nobody look away, otherwise you a punk. It escalates so fast. But we don't have anybody to appeal to. Our oppressors get to appeal to themselves. We would have to appeal to them for justice, for justice against the crimes that happen to us. So now when we appeal to our oppressor for the crimes that our oppressors have been putting on us, you know, where, like, realistically, where do you think that's going to lead? Where is that actually going to go? Is that going to make it onto the floor of discussion? Are you going to take that to City Hall, and are they going to act on it? No. I wouldn't hold my breath trying to talk to my alderman about police brutality in our neck of the woods. But what we can do to affect that, you're getting our people sober, and a lot of this is easier said than done. But the main distractions is pleasure, instant gratification, you know, in the forms of drugs and alcohol, women, violence, money, you know, power, prestige, fame, popularity, and having kind of that fear, having people fear you. A lot of people like that feeling too. So now, outside of the power of Israel, the God of Israel, we have no real recourse. Unless we actually, you know, until we start correcting that amongst ourselves. So the concept of the kingdom of heaven being within you, it's like, I'm trying to turn this into a class, but just because it's kind of related to the topic, because of who David's praying for and who David's praying to and why he's praying for this. We're talking about people that meant violence against us, and he's praying for justice against them, to have them meet a brutal fate, not a slap on the wrist, not to get exonerated, not to go to court to get judged by a jury of their peers to get exonerated of the charges. He wants something definitive. He wants whatever happened to that fool Jabin at the Brookie Keyshawn. He wants that. He wants what happened to the Midianites. He wants what happened to Sisera. This is verse 10. I think we're going to end it at verse 10 here. Now, Samaria. That's like that's some Marwa. That's some Marwa. Bayan Dara. Young. R. Shamaria. Ayan. R. Shamarwa. Ayan. That would be better than that. That one too. Good enough. Now, Shamarwa by Ayan the R. So they just kind of skip. So they have which. So they're not exactly playing a word towards that, but again, in English, from Hebrew to English, just for it to make sense in English. So Paris. Sion the War. Okay. So ba in this case is in. It's gonna read in English, it's gonna say at, but you can use this as kind of how ka was used with as to the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin. So ka, similar how that was applied, ba is going to be applied the same way. Just in English, they use the word at because this is a location. So ayan, second. Ayan the war. Yeah, my fault. I misspelled that. Ayan da. Ayan da. All right, so that's just kind of like a different way of a different way of spelling it more. Yeah, so it's a Solomon door. Dar, the war. This was a location. So it's gonna, just in English, it's gonna say at indoor. So Paris at indoor. Just by in this case, it's the more direct definition is in. But that's an equivalent substitution that you can make. In, at, is kind of the English choice of how you want to address it. Somalia. Yonder. I think that's so Ayandar, Ayandar, indoor, Ayandar. Because even in English, if you were to break that word down, because this isn't even directly an English word, indoor, indoor. Door is kind of the focal point. Dog. Ayan, fountain. And so they're breaking that down. Fountain of door. A place in the territory of Issachar, yet possessed by Manasseh, located 4 miles north of Tabor. A place of residence of the spiritist consulted by King Saul. So there was a witch that King Saul had summoned for. He had summoned the witch to summon the spirit of Samuel. And so you can find that. I think that's actually in the book of First Samuel. You know, that might be in King Select. It was after Samuel had died. Well, that wasn't First Samuel Select. Yeah, so that's just that it's a location at indoor, in indoor, by, don't mean in or at, just depending on uh, how you're directing it. Up there for a second yet. Got the last little bit to finish off on this verse, and then we'll be done with part 4. Looks like we only got like 12 more to go. Yeah, some good history in this. Good history in this area. the references that it's using. You know, it's not for nothing. When we throw up these prayers for the destruction of Babylon, for the destruction of Egypt and Gomorrah and Sodom, it's not because they're innocent. It's not because their lives aren't hurting anybody. They're just doing it behind closed doors. It's because we are set aside. We are set apart from everybody else. All right. So last little bit. How you walk? The man. The man. La dame. This one we just got plenty of room. Get big. Well, man. Dame. Um, they became. So again, you know, this little word turns into a big phrase. So what happened at when they perished at Endor, they became something. The Jabin, you know, the king of Canaan, the Brook of Kisan, these other people that perished at Endor, they became something. Let me say that for a second. But I heard. Normally, our afterzah is the term for earth, but we have, so La is normally two. Two or four. You know, like when we say so La Yashala, to Israel, for Israel. So they became a something for the earth. There's got to be something else that kind of gets reclaimed. But this one in capitals. They became as dung for the earth. They got wasted away. Dung for the earth to just get to decompose, just get cycled back into the ground, eaten up by the bugs, and then re-spat out as dung for the bugs. You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't wish happy tidings. He wasn't praying for live long and prosper. He was praying that they get destroyed, like these other kings, these other famous, you know, warriors and clans that came up against Israel and got destroyed. All the way to the point of dung. They got the shit beat out of them. They got wasted to nothing. They became as dung for the earth. Ask your Christian pastor to say this prayer and see how he skips this. I think in the NIV, let's see what the NIV says. Let's see how the NIV puts it. See if they clean it up at all. Psalms 83 in the NIV. Verse 10. Oh, they do use it. It became like dung on the ground. Who perished at Endor and became like dung on the ground. So even they had enough sensibility to keep that in there, to keep it all the way legit with King David. Why? The mind, dung. You might realize how that's Adam, Dama. It became as dung for the earth. That's what happened to them. At Endor, at that fountain of Endor, these different people that got defeated, utterly destroyed, they became as dung for the earth. I want America to become as dung for the earth. Something biodegradable. They can just be reabsorbed into the earth, recycled, and reset. So that the earth can continue living, so that the plants and animals can thrive. That's what I'm praying for. That's what David was praying for against the enemies of the Most High. Remember, in the part of the beginning of that prayer, he said, let's read it back. Thine enemies. In verse 2, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult. He wants thine enemies to become as dung for the earth. The same way that he wants for the Edomites, for the Ishmaelites, so for the Caucasians, for the so-called white men, the devil that the Bible speaks of, and the Arabs, the Ammonites and the Moabites, the so-called Chinese and the Japanese, all the Asian families, the Hagarenes, Gabal, the Amalekites, the Philistines, the Asur, all the children of Lot. He wants them to become as dung for the earth. The same thing that happened to Jabin, the same thing that happened to Sisera, at the Brook of Kison, which those people that perished at Endor became as dung for the earth. That's what he's praying. David wasn't no Christian, man. Israelites ain't no Christians. Listen, if you want to keep it all the way genuine and sincere, Christians ain't Christians. The same way when like how they always say all the prophets and Jesus are Muslims. By the definition of Muslims, Muslims ain't Muslims. If Jesus was a Muslim, if Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were Muslims, then Muslims today, they're not Muslims. Islam is trash. Christianity is trash. And I'm praying that they become as dung for the earth, because they took crafty counsel against our people. Now confederate against Israel, man. Hoping that we are no more as a nation, so that we are wiped out of remembrance. That's what they want from us. That's what I want for them. That's what David wanted for his enemies. For those that count themselves enemies of the Most High God, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those who pit themselves against us, against God, become as dung for the earth. I think that's a good spot to land it at. April 12th, man. Get ready for the Lord's 56th annual Passover, April 12th, Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to be finishing out the Feast of Dedication for 8 days. That's going to end on, I believe, the 2nd. January 2nd at sundown is when it should be the closing of the Feast of Dedication, also known as Hanukkah. So keep it strong at work. While you're out in the streets, everybody's wishing you happy holidays and all that. You ain't got to sit there and bite nobody's head off. But you know, if you want to let them know that you don't celebrate these pagan customs, I found out too a lot of atheists celebrate the pagan side of it. The winter solstice. They celebrate Christmas. They celebrate Halloween, Thanksgivings. They celebrate all these holidays. You know, they're just there for the party, for the free food, for the drinks, for the smoke, for the liberal expression of it. You know, no accountability. And they can get in touch with their pagan roots, which a lot of them don't even like. So I mean, all right, so they got pagan roots, but like some of them that are celebrating like the Celtic or the Celtic traditions, they're not Irish. They don't hold any ancestry with them folk, but they appreciate the festivities and the traditions that they have. So they'll do the whole winter solstice thing or Yule. And they might not even be like connected into that by family, which just again goes to show the culture vulture nature of Esau, just attaching themselves to whatever the hell they want, whatever makes them feel good, whatever looks like a good time to them. They're all about that. And while they're making asses out of themselves, we're getting ready for the Lord's Passover, April 12th, Atlanta, Georgia. Get it ready. I don't know if there's any more hotel rooms at the main hotel. But there's a nice little cluster in that downtown area at that main hotel location. So get it in now. Get your hotel room reserved now. Get any of your vehicles. Get your travel arrangements set now, so you ain't got to worry about the last minute and prices, skyrocket through the roof. So with that, for everybody that had tuned in and out, we had a handful of people that stopped in. Appreciate your company and your attention for a little bit. Appreciate also 5,000 Madabar, his amazing family, and the Zama now. Shalom, sis. Y'all by some y'all to the brothers. Y'all smart Latan by some y'all to the sisters. Shalom.